In this video, we're going to look at terms all chess players should know. This video will be perfect for beginners. If you are new here, hello, my name is William, I create chess videos. Let's begin. The first term is the opening. This is where you get your pieces out. This tends to be the first 5 to 10 moves of the game. So let's check out this opening. E4, C5, we have the Sicilian defense with the black pieces. Knight F3, D6, D4, we have the open Sicilian, take, Knight F6, Knight C3, A6, we have the Sicilian Najdorf. The next term I want to talk about is development, where you get out all your pieces. Bishop E2, E5, Knight B3, Bishop E7, both sides now castle. Bishops to the middle, Queen D2, Knight D7. So what's happened? Both sides have got their king safe, pawns in the center, and all 4 minor pieces have been developed. 2 knights, 2 bishops. If we continue a bit, this is the next term. This is called a pawn break. F4 offering a trade. If you don't take it, then white might gain more space with F5. So black takes, and now another turn. This is called an outpost, where you can put a knight or a bishop or any piece, and you cannot attack it with any pawn. Notice white does not have any pawn here, so this knight is like a rock for black, just holding black's position. It's really good to put a knight or a bishop on an outpost. The Fianchetto, Knight F3, Knight F6, G3, G6, B3, let's say white gets a Fianchetto here, black gets a Fianchetto here. So it's really about putting the bishops on these squares. B2, G2, or maybe G7, B7 if black plays B6, Bishop B7. So this is from the King's Indian defense. Your opening repertoire is what you tend to play with either color. So you can have a white repertoire or a black repertoire. I'm going to quickly show you what I play with black. Against E4 I play C5, I play the Sicilian, and we tend to get a Najdorf, or I play the Carlsen defense. Against D4 I like to play the King's Indian most of the time. C4, G6, Knight C3, Bishop G7. And against C4 I also play the King's Indian. That's really one great thing about playing the King's Indian, is you can play it against C4 or D4. And also against Knight F3, move 1. The move order doesn't really matter. So that, in a nutshell, is my opening repertoire with black. Harry the H-pawn. Knight F3, Knight F6, C4, G6, take, take. H4, H5, attacking this pawn. You are launching Harry the H-pawn. This term is made famous by British GM Simon Williams, aka Ginger GM. You launch your H-pawn and you try to get this rook into the game. Transpositions. Let's take E4, E6, D4, D5. This is the French defense. But there are other ways to get this position. You could play D4 first, and if your opponent plays E6, then you can go E4, D5. Different move order, same position. Another transposition could be this. D4, E6, Knight F3, F5. We have the Dutch defense. Or it could have gone like this. D4, F5, Knight F3, E6. So the Dutch straight away. Or even like this. Knight F3 first move, E6, D4, F5. So there's so many ways to get the same position. A refutation. This is when you refute your opponent's move. You punish their move. So a very quick example. From 1988, the Beal tournament. Zapata Alonso beat Vichy Anand so quickly in 6 moves. Let's quickly check it out. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight F6. We have the Petrov defense. White takes the pawn and then comes back. Knight takes E4. Black gets his pawn back. Knight C3. Bishop F5 looks okay because you're getting your bishop out, defending your knight. But after Queen E2, this is the refutation to this move. It punishes this move straight away. Because after Queen E2, you won't believe it, but Vichy Anand, world champion, resigned. After Queen E2, if you play D5, then D3, you just win the knight. We say this is pinning the knight to the king. The knight cannot move. If you play Queen E7, you go Knight D5, and then you're going to take on C7. You are also attacking the queen. So if you move the queen here, you go D3, once again pinning the knight. If you attack the knight, you just come back. We still have this pin on the E file, and you are totally lost. So in this very short game, after 6 moves, Bishop F5 was a move, but Queen E2 was the refutation. Black has an Octopus Knight, a knight in the middle of the board, controlling the maximum number of squares, which is 8 squares. A perfect knight. We can also link this to another term. It's called an outpost, which I talked about in the first example. You cannot attack this knight with a white pawn. One more thing to note, we consider the pawn structure for black. Black has a light square complex because he's got so many pawns on light squares. Beginner tactics to be aware of. In this position, black is a rook up, but this is a cool tactic. This is called an X-ray. White is winning in 2 moves. Queen c8 check. The rook defends the queen. This is checkmate because after rook takes queen, rook is checkmate. So this is back rank checkmate, which beginners can fall for. One way to stop this is to give your king luft. Give your king some air to breathe. So whenever you have a kind of position like this, if we go back, you can play a move like h6, get the king h7, h3, get the king to h2. So then when you give your king some air to breathe, you could play g3 or king g2. Then you don't have this problem of back rank checkmate. Next tactic to be aware of is perpetual check. That means you keep checking and it will be a draw. White is 2 rooks up in this position, but it is black's move, and black gets a draw with queen e1 check. The king can only go to h2, and then you keep checking with the black queen. The king cannot go to any square. Check. The king has to go back, can't come forward. So then we just keep checking, and when this happens, this now links to another term. It's called threefold repetition, when a position occurs 3 times. Then it will be a draw. White cannot get out of these checks. The evaluation of a position, that means the assessment. Who is better? Black, white, maybe it is equal. e4, c5, if we take this position, d4, take, the queen is attacking the rook. The position is level at the moment. Black can play a move like knight f6, the game goes on. But if you play a move like knight c6, this is a blunder. So you put double question mark next to it, because you just lose your rook. After knight f6, e5, you can attack the knight. Now knight c6 is better because you attack the queen. E takes f6. This is a blunder because you lose your queen. So both sides have played bad moves. So the evaluation of the position changes from level to winning. Battery example. If we take it from here, this is the queen's gambit. Queen c2, b6, bishop d3 here. Queen and bishop line up on the same diagonal, attacking a pawn or attacking something. You can have a battery maybe with 2 rooks as well. Queen and rook as well. Opening gambits to be aware of. Let's take it from the Sicilian again. d4, giving up a pawn after c3, take. Why does white play like this? Because white is very fast with his development. You get your knight out, then your bishop out, and then you castle very quickly. Also, when you play an opening gambit, you are getting your opponent out of his normal kind of positions. You give up a pawn, you get your pieces out very quickly. People can find this very uncomfortable, so it can be a very practical way to play. This is known as the Smith-Morra gambit. Final example, this is the pawn layout. All of black's pawns are on dark squares, so this is a dark square complex. If you remember before, we had a light square complex because black had so many pawns on light squares. In this position, white has the light square complex, even getting this pawn to c6, and then we got this chain. So this is a pawn chain as well. Pawn chain begins here, or here, and also this way. White's pawn chain begins here, so then all the pawns are protected. Let's also talk about counterplay. Black is the one attacking the king, so white is the one who needs play on the other side of the board, and he's got that play on the queen side. He can push with c5, trying to break through, get the queen in as well. This is a closed position at the moment because all 8 pawns are on the board for both sides. When white or black plays a pawn break, then it will become open. So this kind of position is also known as a dynamic position because there are going to be so many options for both sides. In 5 to 10 moves, I bet this kind of position is going to open up and someone is likely going to win this position. So much can happen when you play the King's Indian. That's why I like to play like this with the black pieces, but also I can take it on with the white pieces. If you want to see more of these kind of videos, leave a comment below. Thanks a lot for watching all the way until the end. If you enjoyed this chess terms video, then give this video a like and subscribe to the channel at the same time. If you press the bell, that means YouTube will let you know when I release a new video. Have a nice week and I'll see you later.